Hey guys, I'm here to do a book review on A Certain Slant of Light by Laura Whitcomb. This was a very good book. I give it 3.5, 4 stars out of 5. It's one of those where I can't really give it like in-depth review, not like I do that too often anyways. It's just one of those things you just like it. I'm going to go ahead and read the back of it to you. It says, in the class of the high school English teacher she has been haunting, Helen feels them. For the first time in 130 years, human eyes are looking at her. They belong to a boy who has not seemed remarkable until now, and Helen, terrified but intrigued, is drawn to him. The fact that he is in a body and she is not presents this unlikely couple with their first challenge. But as the lovers struggle to find a way to be together, they begin to discover the secrets of their former lives and of the young people they come to possess. This book is about a girl named Helen. She's actually a woman. She died 130 years ago, and she never went to hell or heaven or anything. She actually is stuck on Earth, and she calls the people she's attached to her hosts. She has to stick to a person and basically shadow them. If she gets too far away from them, she starts falling into like this murky darkness. And then as they die, she has to cling to somebody else. So it's 130 years later, and she's clinging to a teacher right now, a high school teacher. And so, you know, she's in class with them one day like she normally is. And, you know, no living people see her. And she doesn't see any other ghosts or anything. So she's basically alone. And she catches somebody, you know, a student looking at her. And she's like, I don't think he's looking at me because that's never happened in 130 years where a human can see me. And she kind of moves this way or does this to see if his eyes track her. And she ends up finding out that that he can actually see her. And so she ends up talking to him and stuff, and she finds out that he's actually a ghost too. But the difference is that he actually, instead of shadowing his host, he actually was able to take his body and not become human because he's still a spirit, but be able to go into this guy's body and have a human body of his own. And the only reason he was able to do that is because the kid, his name was Billy, whose body he possessed, he left his body basically. He just gave up. Short of suicide, he just gave up, and James ended up possessing his body. Well, just because James possessed his body doesn't mean that he actually became Billy. He is still James, so he doesn't know anything of what's going on in Billy's life, and he kind of has to swing it. So that creates kind of, you know, problems and stuff and that. Well, he really wants to be with Helen, but Helen's still a spirit, and she can't touch him. They can't touch each other. Yeah, they can see each other, and they can hear each other. And the only reason he can is because, like I said, he's a spirit, technically. So he convinces her to find a body to possess, to get into, so they can be together. And she does, and it's by another high school girl that has also left her body. And Helen gets into her body so her and James can be together. Well, this girl, her name's Jenny, her family's really religious in that, and Jenny's has very strict rules. So that causes a lot of problems, a lot of angst in her family in that, and a lot of just stuff going on. So it's very hard for them to be together, very hard. And in the end, they decided that, you know what, they can't stay in these bodies forever. So James actually ends up leaving that body first because Billy wanted to come back. He wanted his body back. So James basically was like pushed out. And then after that, Helen got pushed out too. But Helen made Jenny come back because she knew, because some stuff that actually had went on in Jenny's house concerning Jenny's parents, some stuff that was not so good. Helen knew that Jenny's mom needed her. So she did something very serious, hoping that it would make Jenny come back, and luckily it did. And so Helen had to leave that body, and then she was faced, because she couldn't remember how she died. Either her, James, and her couldn't. James ended up being able to remember how he died earlier on, but Helen still didn't know how she died. Little bits and pieces came back to her, but after she got pushed out of Jenny's body, she seen how she ended up dying, and in the end, when she ended up becoming a spirit again, James ended up joining her, and it was nice. So at the beginning was a little slow for me. Only I think it was just me and the mindset I was in when I started reading it. But then after they each possessed James was already in that kid's body when you met him, but when Helen ended up possessing the body of Jenny, that's when things really started to pick up and when stuff started really to happen in the story and that. And Billy had a lot of issues. Billy was the body that James possessed, the body of the boy. He was on drugs real bad in that. He almost killed himself and just stuff like that. His mom was in the hospital. His dad was in jail, and he lived with his brother. And just a real messed up home life. And after James ended up possessing his body and all that stuff went on, a lot of people started realizing stuff. And so when Billy claimed his body back, things were looking up. And people were trying to make things right. And the same thing with Jenny's body that Helen possessed. Like I said, it was a real religious family, but it kind of went a little too far. And that's what made Jenny leave, because she just couldn't handle it anymore. So when she came back and claimed her body, her mother had realized how strict she's been, and just, so they were changing their ways. It made both families realize a lot of things. So, but yeah, very good book. I would definitely give it, like I said, 3.5 or 4 stars. I'm a real hard sell, but like I said, there was just something about this book. The writing, the story, the characters, I really liked it. So, A Certain Slant of Light by Laura Whitcomb. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.